Good afternoon, Year 3. Welcome to your first maths lesson with me. And today we're going to be multiplying by 8. I know you've been doing a lot of 4 times table stuff with Miss Kitching, multiplying divided by 4, and I thought we can move on to our 8 times table now. So to start with, I would like you just to firstly look at this array and group these counters into either rows or columns. Remember in class we did either rows, so up and down, or columns, which is across. And I would like you to write the correct multiplication number sentence which it could represent. So if you just pause the video and give that a go, and we'll go through the answers in a second. Okay, let's go through the answers. So firstly, if you group them into columns, you should have 4 equal groups with 6 counters or dots in each group. And the multiplication number sentences you should have written is 4 times 6, which equals 24. Okay, because 4 times 6 represents 4 groups of 6. Okay, right, let's go on to the next answer, because we could have done this in 2 ways. If you've grouped it in rows, you should have it drawn like this, okay, and you should have 6 equal groups of 4. And the multiplication number sentence for this one is just switched around, so it is 6 groups of 4. But can you notice that it's still the same total because there is the same amount of dots in each array? Wonderful. Tick those if you've got that right. Fantastic if you did both rows and columns. And let's move on. So today we're multiplying by 8. Some signs of success we should look at before we start is firstly we should know how to count objects in 8 groups or count objects in groups of 8. Secondly, we should show multiplications in different ways. For example, drawing an array like we've just done, repeated addition, multiplication number sentences, and also bar models. We should also use existing times table knowledge to help us work out a number sentence. So keep them in mind during this lesson. Okay. Right, first little task for you to do. I would like you to look at these groups of cakes we got here, okay? And I would like you to look at the groups, look how many groups there are, look how many cakes are in each group, and then fill in the blank spaces, okay? So firstly, fill in the blank spaces of the sentence. Secondly, fill in the blank sentences of the repeated addition number sentence. And finally, I would like you to write the correct multiplication number sentence. Remember that we can have numbers, the numbers in 2 different orders as long as it gives us the same answer. Okay, so pause the video, have a bit of time working this out, and then we'll go through the answers in a second. Fantastic, let's go through the answers then. So let's look at this sentence firstly. There are some groups of some cakes. Let's go through the answers. So there should be 3 groups of 8 cakes. Okay, can you see that the cakes are grouped into 3 different groups? There are 3 different cooling racks. Okay, and on each cooling rack there are 8 cakes. Right, let's move on to the repeated addition number sentence now. So we should have 8 plus 8 plus 8, sorry about the order then, which equals 24, as we have 8 cakes in one group, 8 cakes in the other group, and another 8 cakes. 8 plus 8 plus 8, which is 24. And finally, for our multiplication number sentence, doesn't matter which order you've put this in, okay, but as long as you've got the right numbers, we should have 3 times 8, which is 24, as we have 3 groups of 8 cakes. You could have written it the other way around, That's absolutely fine because it still gives us the same answer. I just prefer to write it that way. But if you've written it that way, that's absolutely fine because the answer is the most important thing. Okay. Next task for us, we're going to look at the same groups of cakes and the same multiplication number sentence. And I would like you to use this multiplication number sentence now to help you draw an array, okay, to help show this number sentence. So I'm going to give you a minute to do that. Pause the video again, okay, and we're going to go for the answers. Remember though, to group your dots after you've drawn your array. Okay, let's go through the answers quickly. So I'm not going to be fussy. We could have drawn our arrays in two different ways. It doesn't matter. I'll show you both at the same time. So we could have drawn it across our book or down our book, okay? It doesn't matter too much. But as long as you have circled 3 equal groups of 8, because that is the same as this number sentence as well as the picture here. Can you see we have 3 groups of 8 in our array, just the same as we have 3 groups of 8 cakes. So well done if you got that right. Let's move on to another question. So now we've got some more cakes, but they're grouped slightly differently, aren't they? So I would like you to do the same as you did last time. Look at the groups and fill in the blank spaces. Okay, pause the video, give it a go, and we'll go through the answers in a second. Okay, let's go through the answers this time. Make sure you've counted those groups really carefully, counted the amount of cakes on the groups so we don't get caught out. So let's look at this sentence to start with. There are blank groups of blank cakes. Let's see what the missing gaps are. So there are 8 groups of 3 cakes this time. Okay, can you notice the cakes are ordered in 8 groups rather than 3 before? But there are 3 on each rack or each group. Okay, so try not to get muddled with that. 8 groups of 3 cakes. Let's move on to the repeated addition now. You should have, 3, add 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 3, which equals 24. Okay, the reason we're adding 3s instead of 8s is because there are 3 in each group, remember. Okay, try not to get caught out with that. Finally, let's look at our multiplication number sentence. We should have 8 times 3, because that is 8 groups of 3, which equals 24. Okay, you can have it in the different order if you want to. That's absolutely fine, but I know that's a really nice way of remembering it, especially when we're looking at groups. Okay, and can you notice as well that the repeated addition number sentence and the 2 multiplication number sentences all have the same answer? Okay, it's just different ways of writing it. If you count the cakes as well, I can guarantee you we're going to have 24 cakes there. Okay, so just different ways of showing our multiplication. Okay, let's move on. So I would like you again to look at the 8 groups of 3 cakes. Okay, 8 times 3, and draw this complete number sentence as an array. Okay, remember to group them. Remember we have 8 groups of 3 cakes. Okay, so see if you can draw the array and then group it how we need to group it, and we'll go through the answers in a second. Pause the video now to do that. Okay, right, let's go through the answers then. So again, we could have drawn our arrays in 2 different ways. It doesn't matter, but as long as we've grouped them into 8 equal groups of 3. Okay, imagine these red dots being cakes. Okay, there are 8 groups of 3 cakes in each. Okay, Fantastic. Well done if you got that correct. Tick that. And then I would like you to have a look at all these different ways I've drawn this multiplication number sentence. 8 times 3 equals 24. We've stayed with the same one. So there's many ways I could have drawn it. I could have drawn it in the arrays, like we've already been practicing. Remember to group them though. I haven't put it on it, I haven't put the groups on it just to make it clearer, but remember to group them because it makes it even clearer for us, okay? I've also grouped them in slightly differently here. Can you see that I've grouped 8 3 times? There are 8 dots in each of these groups, and there's 3 groups. And can you see below as well, I've also drawn a bar model, which is the same as these 3 groups here. Okay, it's just another way of showing it. If I show you down here, where I've got 8 groups of 3, okay, and again I've got a bar model below to show that I have 3 8 times. Okay, so that's just another way of showing it. And finally, I've used a number line, and this number line you might notice is counting up in the 8 times table. Okay, and because I'm timesing 3 or 8 3 times, I'm going to count 3 times up the 8 times table. So count with me if you want. I've gone 8, 16, 24. So I've jumped 3 times, and can you see I've got to 24, which is the same as our answer. So that's another way of working out. I know a lot of you count your times tables with your fingers as well. That's absolutely fine. It's just a way of writing it down to show it really, really clear. Fantastic. Let's move on then. Let's explore another way of calculating 6 times 8 this time. Okay. So let's look at this girl here. She said she knows 6 times 8 is 2 lots of 3 times 8. Okay. And she's correct, because 2 lots of 3 is 6, isn't it? And it's really, I can even show it clearer to you on a number line here. 3 times 8, big jump, is 24. And another 3 times 8, big jump, is 48, which is the answer to 6 times 8. If you want, you can even check. You can pause the video here and count on your fingers the 8 times table, and see if we can get 48 when you get to 6 fingers up. Okay, pause that now if you want to give that a go. Don't worry if you don't want to. Okay, let's look at another method of solving 6 times 8. So this girl here says she knows that 5 times 8 is 40, but then she added one more 8 to give her 48. Okay, and I know a lot of us are fantastic with our 5 times tables. Okay, so this could be a method for you to use. Okay, because we know 5 times 8 is 40, and if we're using our 8 times table, if we're using our 8 times table, we only need to add one more 8 to make it 6 times 8. So 40 add 8 is 48. Okay. We can also look at a number line to show us here. So 5 times 8 is 40, add another 8 is 48. Now, I would like you to pause the video, and I would like you to choose one of these techniques, and in your book, write or choose a technique to answer 8 times 8. So use some of these methods, use some of the methods I've shown you in the earlier slide as well if you want. Okay, but give it a go, give one of these methods a go into solving 8 times 8. Pause the video now, and we'll move on to the next slide once you're done. Okay, fantastic. Right, we've been practicing our times tables a lot now. Okay, so it's your turn to have a go. So I've got 3 pages of questions here. I would like you to, just below where you've done all your work in your maths book, to do these questions on the slides. There are I think there are 9 questions altogether, including a extension. Okay, the first 2 slides I think we should all give a go. We should all have a go, and the last 2 slides are a bit harder. So if you really want to challenge, have a look at those slides, and then see how you get on. Okay, and I will flick through these now. So pause it when you need to pause it and answer the questions, and I'll also put the answers at the end. So once you've answered all the questions, you can go on to the answers and mark your work. Okay, I look forward to see how you're getting on with all of this. So that's it from me. I'm sure I'll see you again in another lesson, and good luck with your activity.